Finland accidentally achieving the best education system in the world with no standardized tests, minimum homework, 9-to-2 schedule, and also less working hours for teachers and paying them like doctors. It's almost like we should all copy their system up there. But of course, that's never gonna happen. How did they do it? No standardized tests, minimum homework, a 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. schedule. Are they going to school like 7 days a week up there? Finland is often cited as having a highly successful and well-regarded education system. Finnish teachers are highly respected and well-trained, less homework and testing, but they also perform well in international assessments. One of the things is apparently they have rigorous requirements too to become a teacher. Unfortunately, a lot of countries can't just adopt it because it's a cultural thing too up there. I mean, I'm actually pretty sure many places around the world have already tried to copy the Finnish system, especially because Finland has been known for this for decades now. This is claiming that students not only have the shorter days, but they're saying they have no homework. What? You're telling me you gave me all that homework and I became stupider because of it? God damn it. No, it's funny. Honestly, like sometimes I think about going back to school, going back to university just to get a bachelor's degree. I never got my bachelor's degree. One of the biggest reasons I don't want to go back is I don't like being forced to learn stuff. I don't like to learn. Like, I like to learn because I want to learn about it, not because I'm being forced to learn about it. Freaking homework. Teachers' vacations are also as long as students and with pay. Some standard tests like math and English are being used, and over 13-year-old school days are around 5 to 7 hours per day. Jeez, I kind of barely read that correctly. It's obvious that the education system here in the US is not quite as good. This is because they have banned paying for tuition, meaning rich kids are also sent to public schools so their rich parents invest in the school. I'm sure there's more than just that reason. There's probably a lot more, in fact, but that's one thing. There also isn't just a whole lot of poverty in general in Finland. As of 2020, the Finnish poverty rate was 0.1%, not even 1%, a percent of a percent. Sure, that helps a lot. American school system, getting our kids ready for the factory. Jobs that don't exist anymore. Regardless, man, I wish I was Finnish. B, Japan. Used to be the center of technological innovation, was always ahead of the US. Current year, they have no groundbreaking AI software of their own. Nothing worth talking about has come from Japan in ages. China is now the king of tech advancement. What happened? There was an explosion in the 80s, and in the early 90s, everyone in America was very worried about Japan because their economy was just, it was doing incredible. But then something occurred in the late 1990s and then definitely the 2000s. It is known as the lost decades, or the lengthy period of economic stagnation that occurred in Japan. For 13 years there, their economy only grew by a little more than 1% annually. The problem is back in the 1980s, Japan's economy was built off of, well, basically speculation. To top it all off, they have a demographic crisis. They are now losing people. Not the worst in Asia, but they are one of the worst. They're kind of the poster child for this, even though it should be South Korea. On average, the Japanese people are like over 50 years old. They're not having kids. That is crazy. That is not good. For a reference, the average American is about 38 or 39 years old. Some people are predicting that China could be the next Japan in the next like 10 years, but I don't know. They've got a completely different situation over there. Gonna be eating those words when they finally get that Gundam going. It's literally about to be so over for us. Maybe that's what they're doing. They're just focusing all their economic effort into this thing. China has survived for 5,000 years, but sure, buddy, this time it'll collapse. Greece survived 6,000, got hollowed out by Goldman Sachs in a year. I definitely wouldn't use the argument that a certain civilization survived for a long time, therefore it is untouchable in the modern day. Although the situation between China and Greece are significantly different. I mean, China's got 1.5 billion people basically. Also, there's a lot more land area in general, but do not underestimate powerful corporations anymore. We're basically living in a time where like powerful corporations are stronger than many countries. Not quite as powerful yet as the Dutch East India Company or the British Company. Those were literal like armies basically, but honestly, give them a matter of time. Pepsi at one point had like the 4th largest navy or something like that. It's still in their blood. It's still, so don't remind them of this. Last thing you're gonna want to do is get invaded by the Pepsi Navy. Imagine getting blasted in the face with a Pepsi cannon. It's like carbonated brown water smashing against you. Chinese history is wild. The fact that the Taipei Rebellion happened because Hakka Chinese failed to pass an entrance exam and then had visions of being the brother of Jesus Christ, that the Qing are demons, and that the corrupted, the heavenly order must be overthrown. And yes, essentially he said, I'm the brother of Jesus, billions now must perish. That's a kind of a summary of the whole Heavenly Kingdom thing. If this is not the best historical event to say, be careful who you make fun of in school, I don't know what else is. You might just oof your entire country. What savages don't understand is that civilizations as old as Greece and China have had several ups and downs over the last 1,000 years. Goldman Sachs is nothing compared to the Bronze Age collapse or the 3rd century crisis or the 15th century century. China, the fractured kingdoms that got turned into an empire, that fell into fractions kingdoms only to get reconquered into an empire. Repeat to the 9th degree, that got conquered into a communist empire that has recently liberalized trade with the world somewhat. This isn't 5,000 years. The bloodiest wars in history. Number 1, World War II. Number 2, Chinese Civil War. Number 3, Chinese Civil War. Number 4, World War I. Number 5, Chinese Civil War. Number 6, Chinese Civil War. Number 7, Chinese Civil War. Number 8, Russian Revolution. Number 9 and number 10, Chinese Civil War. How many times do we have to do this? It is a quite terrifying thought, especially because they've done it so many times. The last thing anyone should honestly wish for is, well, a non-unified China. That might be legitimately how we have like a billion perish. Keep in mind that meme is only slightly exaggerating. Technically, number 2 is the Mongol invasion, but then there's the Three Kingdoms, the Taipei Rebellion, the Manchu conquest of China, the conquest of Timor, a Lushan rebellion, Chinese Civil War in number 11. Once you get out of the top 10, the China ones don't pop up as much anymore, finally. Everyone thinks back to this 4chan post. This is essentially how it goes. Slight disagreement causes 4 species to go extinct. No, but these facts ultimately come down to just population density in general. Do not underestimate how many people this part of the earth can fit in it. India, of course, as well, but because this region of this subcontinent was, well, throughout most of its history, extremely fragmented, it wasn't until the British forced them all together. If they were as united like China was throughout their history, well, then there'd probably be some pretty bloody civil wars over there too. Everyone seems to forget just how many human beings they can fit in China. U.S. Air Force, 1947, mounts top secret sensor suite onto weather balloon to detect high altitude sound waves from Soviet atomic tests, which then crashes in Roswell, New Mexico, fueling wild speculation about flying saucers and extraterrestrials. It was a weather balloon. Refuses to elaborate further. Okay, wait. I'm a little confused by this post. Is it just saying that it was a weather balloon? Like Roswell wasn't actually that big of a deal? I'm pretty sure that's what this is saying. Mounting a top secret sensor. Because of course in 1947 we were extremely worried about Soviet atomic tests. Although the title says misdirection at its finest. Call it a weather balloon. Look inside. Literally just a fancy weather balloon. I mean, according to Wikipedia, it really was just, I mean, it's Wikipedia, so who knows. But just a military balloon, supposedly. Man, I don't mean to, it's fun with the, I like my conspiracy theories. But it does make sense that they were just extremely like paranoid about Soviet atomic tests. Don't forget, this is not the first time Americans specifically overly panicked about like extraterrestrials. Literally just 9 years earlier, everyone was panicking about the War of the Worlds radio broadcast. People have always been kind of obsessed with aliens over here, huh? You're not fooling me, it was aliens. Why would aliens care about Soviet atomic testing? Actually, I could see aliens caring about that a lot, actually. For context, look into Project Mogul. There were no aliens at Roswell nor at Area 51. It was just the Air Force engaging in some Cold War shenanigans. I mean, sometimes the most simple answer is the answer. Doesn't even know his own language, doesn't know what a kilometer is, brags constantly about their history, they have none, also decades of blowing up children. That versus these Nordic countries who know at least 2 languages or more can run 5 kilometers at a reasonable pace, humble about their history, even though we were literally freaking Vikings in the decades of Nordic peace, actual freedom. This is specifically highlighting the Nordics, but you could say this about a lot of Europeans and actually just a lot of other people in general. You can certainly criticize Americans for not knowing other languages. I don't think it's, I mean, it's especially an American thing. We are really big in it. It's an English-speaking world thing, like Australia, the UK. It's because the English-speaking world is so big, a lot of times you don't necessarily need to know another language. I don't like to think about it like that. I think it's good to learn another language. I know what a kilometer is. I'm still confused about it, but yeah. To be honest, I can't run 5 kilometers. Knowing more than 2 languages isn't always great. For example, I can speak Swedish. Oh no, what other horrors are Finnish schools teaching you? This is because Finnish schools teach Swedish. Okay, maybe that Finnish education system isn't as great as we talked about. There are some downsides, even to the best educations in the world. God, learning Swedish. On average, American workers take less vacation time than medieval peasants. Yeah, I've heard this one before. That can't be good. Yeah, but medieval peasants never got to experience an extra large Baja Blast from 7-Eleven after their shift. So I can't tell if this is ironic or not. Honestly, it doesn't matter. I gotta be honest, I've never actually had an extra large Baja Blast or a Baja Blast in general. I've heard bomb things though. I gotta admit, it does look pretty epic. I think I am missing out. Especially like a hot shift of like working in construction or something like that and then going to the 7-Eleven and getting this. Oh, that would smack. Every true American knows Fountain Baja Blast is only available at Taco Bell. This is clearly Russian, but yeah. Maybe I'm Russian. I didn't know it was from Taco Bell either. Yeah, I've seen this fact get thrown around, but I still wouldn't rather be a medieval peasant. I'll tell you that right now. If a medieval peasant had my diet, they would explode. The Sassanid Empire, coming after the ancestors of Pakistanis, Chinese, meanwhile the Indians over here. The Arab Caliphate coming after the ancestors of Pakistan, meanwhile the Indians over here. The Grurid Empire going after the ancestors of Pakistan, meanwhile the Indians over here. The Mongols going after the ancestors of Pakistan and the Indians over here. Shut up! I'm not Indian! I'm Pakistani! My ancestors hoofed your ancestors, I'll hoof you too! Oh, that rivalry still running deep. Meanwhile, the Indian, okay. This is interesting. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to make a comment on this because, I don't really have a dog in the fight, but most of these invasions into South Asia was hitting modern-day Pakistan just by the nature of things. I mean, they were coming out of either the Middle East or the Arabian Peninsula or the modern-day Iran, the Anatolia Peninsula, the Mongols moving on down. Like, it's kind of a geographical thing. The vast majority of invaders were coming over these mountains and then getting to this subcontinent, and that's because, well, there's literally a giant freaking wall right here. This is known as the Himalayan Mountains. Southeast Asia didn't really have many, like, giant civilizations that were invading this way. This is where like all the people lived. You know, Europe's over here, modern day Iran, you have the Arabian Peninsula. So of course, you know, giant empires like the Mongol Empire, we're gonna come over modern day Pakistan. Well, there's except for one, maybe quite possibly the most famous invasion of India, the most infamous and obviously the most successful. The British came from the coast, which was the first time for that. Maybe that's why they were so successful, because these people that lived here were always expecting the invasions to come from here, and then finally white dudes came on boats and they were like, oh, what the hell? But yeah, this is just the unfortunate aspect of geography and why so many events kind of repeated through history. Lol at the accurate swords for each invader, 10 out of 10 accuracy points. Bonus points for a straight Arab sword. I have portrayed myself as Chad and you as Soy Jack. Meme. Yes, I mean, man, absolute cinema meme. Yeah, this rivalry between these two, it's never gonna stop, is it? I mean, I think that's definitely safe to say. Most destructive flood in the Nile River. Woo! Meanwhile, the calmest day in the Yellow River. 5 billion dead on Yellow River flood. Mandate of heaven. Lost. Another reason, actually, that I wish I would have pointed out why the Chinese had such devastating civil wars. They were just like constantly hit by natural disasters that like literally destroyed their entire civilization. Modern day Sudan and Egypt were a lot more safe because of how predictable the Nile was, even though the Nile is the longest river in the world. The Yellow River, basically the mother river of the Chinese civilization, is also known as China's sorrow because of how many devastating floods it had. The same thing that brought Chinese civilization life is also the same thing that would constantly throw it in destruction. Crazy, weirdly poetic, also sometimes called the River of Tears. And yeah, like to point out that whole like mandate of heaven thing. When a natural disaster happens, it's like, oh, that king, he's clearly not appointed by God. Get rid of him. Yeah, this thing is quite the mess right here, but obviously you also need it. You need it to get all those people up over there and keep living. Funny because most of these rivers were the birthplace of two different civilizations, but one was a lot more mean to its civilization than the other. 5 billion dead. Oh, so just another Tuesday in China. I mean, just look at the map. Look at how much this river in general would move. This is absolutely pure chaos. No wonder you build a city somewhere and then all of a sudden, like 10 years later, the river decides it's going to go straight through that city. And what's incredible about this post is it's showing basically how long certain Chinese civilizations survived just because of the stability of the Yellow River at that time. And as soon as it moved, another Chinese dynasty would take power because there'd be a massive civil war and they'd fight for the power and things like that. I mean, Ming and Qing were only around for so long because the Yellow River kind of just stayed down this way. They kind of just got incredibly lucky. I absolutely love this map. Interestingly, China's ability to maintain continuous unity is largely due to its disaster-prone geographical environment, as divided nations could easily vanish in the face of a major catastrophe. And that's the funny thing, is the Chinese were finally able to get out of their century of humiliation because humans finally got the ability to be able to control rivers with giant dams. Finally, the kryptonite of China was stopped. No wonder they're doing so powerful now. Latin Americans, when you ask them how they would eradicate organized crimes in their country, well, honestly, I don't even blame them. If you've lived your entire life under like really ruthless organized crime where like you were constantly under threat, you and your family, you probably had family members like, well, eliminated because of the organized crime in your area. I mean, you could see why they're like this. You know, human rights are cool and stuff, but I mean, people do not like organized crime. When it is constantly dictating how you live your life, I mean, people will vote in pretty crazy ways. Yeah, these comments, finally, they're pointing out exactly what I'm talking about. I want to make sure people understood that. Obviously, everyone's focusing on El Salvador here, but or the second option, become Batman. Not bad. And big ol' thanks to my April patrons. I time traveled back in 2025 to stop Drew from taking over the world. We only have 2 years left. Drew's Argentinian Trust Fund, Rip Grandpa. Alexander the Terrible. Carmel S. Connor Pavlik,
DOOCHBAGGINS,
Fredrik Tibblin,
KingBearHaze,
KirinoIsBestGirl,
LuxembourgLover,
The Goat,
Nolan,
NordTyrol,
and Tambre.